Hello everyone, and in today's video, we're going to be going over how to choose a niche for browse-based YouTube automation channels. Now, if you don't know what browse-based YouTube automation channels are, they're basically channels which tend to target trending or upcoming news, or basically have their videos main traffic source come from browse. So browse means that your video appears on the homepage of viewers, and so that's usually one of the strategies that I go about when it comes to creating videos for my YouTube automation channel. So this is specifically for niches where your main traffic source is browse. You're not trying to target search traffic. And so let's go on and get started on how to choose your niche for your browse-based YouTube automation channel. So as far as choosing a niche goes, there are certain criteria that I usually like to follow. And you don't have to follow every single one of these criteria. But what I look for in a niche for a good browse-based YouTube automation channel is, first, I like to start off with things I know about, okay? What I mean by things I know about, it comes down to you. Ideally, it would help if you went into a niche that you actually know about. The niches that I'm going to is like sports, just because I know sports. So right here, sports. I go into TV shows and movies just because I keep up with some TV shows and movies. Celebs is another one that I go into just because I keep up with some celebrity type news. The niche that you go into, a common mistake that I see some people doing is they would go into the niche of AI, but they don't really keep up with AI news. Or they would go into a niche like basketball, but they know nothing about basketball. They would go into a niche like Marvel, but they've never seen a Marvel movie. So there's quite a big disconnect when it comes to you researching topics and not really knowing anything about the niche, and versus you actually knowing about the niche so that you could actually come up with good relevant topics. Now, the question gets posed though is, can you actually go into a niche which you know nothing about? You most certainly can, but you will have to learn the niche, right? So I've certainly gone into niches that I've stumbled across and didn't know anything about. So what I did was I actually did learn about the niche. So if you don't know anything about it, okay, you have to learn it eventually, okay? Now, when it comes to niche selection, okay, what we're going over is basically criterias. I usually start off with things I know about, things that I keep up to date with, things that I follow on Instagram, things that I read online, such as blogs, things that my family and friends keep up to date with. So that's what I'm usually going towards, where this criteria right here comes down to things I keep up to date with. When you ask yourself, what are some Instagram accounts that you follow? What are some Reddit groups that you're a part of? What is Facebook news? What type of Facebook news are you reading about? What type of YouTube videos are you keeping about? That's kind of like a good basis to start off with when it comes to deciding a niche for your channel. Now, once I kind of have that internal validation or internal kind of judgment as far as a direction of what niche to go into, the next thing I like to do is actually start discovering channels on YouTube. So we're going to call this part here. This first part is kind of called an internal, all right? And this next part is called an external criteria. So with this external criteria, you really don't have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to doing or starting a niche on a YouTube channel. Remember not to reinvent the wheel, And so what we're looking for is that for the external criteria, we're going to start looking for channels that have a small sub count but high view count on their videos. We're going to call these inspiration channels. And with these inspiration channels, you honestly only need 1 to 3 channels just to look out for. So what you're going to do is look for 1 to 3 channels. And the criteria for them is small sub count and high view count. An example of this would be a 1,000 subscriber basketball channel who's posting videos where their views are getting 400,000 views, 10,000 views, a million views. So this is exactly the key that I like looking for when it comes to discovering new niches and also going into new niches myself. So these inspiration channels, or what I like to call them, you only need to find 1 to 3 of those channels. You don't need to find a lot. But once you find those 1 to 3 channels, keep a very close eye on them, okay? Because the idea here is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel as far as what niches to actually go into. So when choosing the niche based on the external criteria, I make sure that there are inspiration channels that are being successful within my niche. When it comes to finding these channels, usually we'll add some more. The newer the channel, the better. And sorry for my horrendous writing, by the way. Also, if they're still actively posting, that's a good indicator. And they're posting videos that are similar to yours, that are similar. And then, of course, the last one is the number of videos posted. So number of videos posted. So again, with this external criteria that we're looking at, okay, this comes down to finding relevant channels that are posting similar videos that you want to be posting. The newer the channel, the better. So today's date is like September 2024. If a channel just started, let's say March 2024, and they're doing well, that's also a good indicator. And then also the number of videos that they've posted. Since, let's say, March 2024, they've posted 20 videos. That kind of gives you an idea that, okay, within roughly 20 videos, I should hopefully start seeing traction. The idea behind this external criteria that you see here, let me zoom out. It's being used as like a green flag or red flag indicator is what I like to call it. If I scroll here, green or red flag indicators. Look over this external criteria, okay? And the goal again is not to reinvent the wheel, but when you find a channel that's posting similar content to you, you're kind of analyzing the channel to get an idea of what your journey is going to be if you do decide to pursue that niche. So again, the newer the channel, the better. A newer channel is usually a green flag indicator. If the channel's been around for like 3 years, let's say, it's not necessarily a red flag indicator, but more so it gives you the idea that, okay, I have to be in the game for like roughly 3 years to achieve the same level of results that this channel has. If the channel is actively posting, that's a green light indicator. If the channel stopped posting 7 months ago, that's a red flag indicator. They're posting vids that are similar to yours, green flag indicator. If they're within the same niche, but let's say the type of videos that they're creating are highly animated, that's probably something that you don't want to do unless you do want to do animation. So again, we're talking about green or red flag indicators. And then the number of videos posted. Since March 2024, how many videos have they posted? And that should give you an idea of how long it's going to take to actually hopefully achieve the same level of results as this channel. Now, once you find these 1 to 3 channels, I would keep a very close eye on basically trying to recognize success patterns in their videos. So recognize success patterns in their videos. And so what I'm looking at here as far as recognizing success patterns is that I'll usually go to the popular tab or popular filter of their channel, and then I'm analyzing their most popular videos. Is it around a certain individual? Is it around a certain object or topic? Are their thumbnails sharing a common pattern? Are the intros of their videos sharing a common intro? How is their scripting? How long are these videos? So these are all things that I try to recognize when it comes to entering a new niche, where I keep a close eye. Let's say filter by most popular. And then what I'm looking at are their titles, of course, title patterns. I'm looking at their thumbnail patterns. I'm looking at their first 30-second intros, okay? First 30-second, intros. And then I'm also looking at the length of their videos, all right? Now, this is extremely important, guys, because you have to really keep in mind that when it comes to starting a new channel on YouTube, you do not have to reinvent the wheel, all right? With this here, you really can just start off, especially if you're brand new to YouTube, trying your best to replicate the success of already working channels, at least to start off with, all right? sorry, bad spelling. Success of already working channels. All right, sorry for my messy handwriting, but again, with this external criteria that we're talking about, you do not need to reinvent the wheel. What we're looking to do is basically replicate the success of already working channels just to start off with. So when I first started YouTube automation like 4 years ago, there was a video topic that went viral on another channel, and I just replicated the same exact video with a slightly altered title and thumbnail. And that video today got like, I think 29 million views. To start off with, okay, the problem that people have when it comes to starting niches on their YouTube automation channels is that their creativity box just keeps on spinning. And their creativity box, unfortunately, doesn't meet the demand of supply and demand of what people are actually looking for on YouTube. So your creativity box, all right, just really quickly, your creativity box, when it comes to you thinking of ideas, you really have to stop thinking about what you think would be a good idea. So a lot of people who are entering the YouTube automation space, they usually have like some statement where it's like, I think this would be a good idea. And so the creativity box that I'm talking about here is that it usually ties to an individual who's brand new to YouTube automation, and they just think of ideas that they think would be good. So their statement here is, I think this would be a good idea, but it turns out on YouTube, it's not a good idea. So shifting from what you think would be a good idea, shift to actually instead looking at the most popular videos that are already working on YouTube, all right? Look at the videos that your competitors are posting that are getting a ton of views, because that's proven data of what's already working on YouTube, right? So instead of doing, I think this would be a good idea, look at your other channels and see what they're posting, and look at the videos that have a high view count compared to the subscriber count. Analyze their titles, analyze their thumbnail patterns, analyze the first 30 seconds of their intro, and also especially keep in mind the length of the video. If you're trying to replicate the success of a video, as mentioned here before, replicate the success of already working channels /videos. What I really mean to replicate the success is really choose similar, like identical. We're going to say the word, identical titles, all right? Thumbnails. We're going to talk about identical video editing, all right? So if they're not using animation, then there's no need for you to use animation too, unless you wanted to do better video editing. And then identical video lengths, all right? So that's how it all ties in together as far as you coming up with your first few video topics for your niche. This is basically the exact framework that I think about when it comes to entering new niches. Now, starting from the beginning again, internal things that I know about, things that I hear about, things that I keep up to date with, and then I try to find similar niches on YouTube itself. And the goal here is to not reinvent the wheel, because what you think might work might not work on YouTube, right? You have to base it off what's actually working on YouTube, and that's a much easier way to actually grow on YouTube. Now, don't get me wrong, some of your ideas that you might think of might actually work on YouTube, but if you're just starting out, you can include into the mix of you posting videos that you want to try to include videos that have already been proven to work on YouTube. So from the external criteria that we're looking at, inspiration channels, you only need like 1 to 3 channels to actually analyze and keep a close eye on and see what they're posting. And then you're looking for a small sub count and high view count. The newer the channel, the better. If they're actively posting, that's good. If they're posting videos that are similar to the types of videos that you're posting, that's even better. And then keeping in note the number of videos that they posted so that it gives you an idea of how long this journey is going to take to reach a similar level as to what they're doing. Recognizing success patterns is absolutely huge, guys, okay? When you find these inspiration channels with the small sub count and high view count, you want to be able to filter by most popular and really recognize the patterns of what's working in their titles, what's working in their thumbnails, what's working in their video editing, and what's working as far as like the length of their videos goes. keep your creativity box to a minimal until you actually start to understand what works on YouTube, and then exercise your creativity box later down the road. It's either that, or you can use your creativity box at the same time as you're replicating the success of other popular videos. But for sure, you should be replicating the success of already working videos or channels, right? I'm talking about identical titles. I'm talking about identical thumbnails. I'm talking about identical video editing and identical lengths of video as well. For a browse-based YouTube channel, as far as choosing a niche goes, that's how I determine a good niche from not a good niche. As far as like general criteria goes, okay, for choosing a niche, I tend to have the best success in niches where there's something that's upcoming or something that basically an audience anticipates. So for like sports, for example, it might be anticipating the Olympics. For sports, it might be anticipating a championship match. General criteria, niches that tend to work even better. Upcoming anticipates. There's always, let's say, news in the topic. There's always something trending going on. So whether it's a celebrity being talked about, or whether it's a certain car being talked about, or whether it's a certain place being talked about, trending news. And the last criteria is usually that the more niche you are, the better. So just to give some really quick examples of these here. So if you do examples, upcoming or anticipate, I usually, like, one of the niches that I'm in is anticipating the release of new cars or TV shows or movies. So upcoming, that's a good example. Cars, TV shows, and movies. So if I create videos about an upcoming car, they tend to do well. If I create videos about an upcoming series, they tend to do well. Now, news in the topic, this is pretty straightforward as far as just keeping up with the news within your niche. So this can be done through IG, blog articles, RSS feeds, even family and friends. Trending news is basically the same thing as far as news within the topic, and the more niche, the better. So what I mean by this is, if you're in sports, I would say niche down to like the WNBA. If you're in TV shows, target a specific TV show. So a specific TV show. If you're in cars, let's say for example, target a specific, let's say, car manufacturer like Toyota, right? All upcoming Toyota cars or something. That's a general criteria that I look for. Again, this is specific, keep in mind guys, for browse channels, right? This isn't related to like evergreen documentary channels. This isn't related to like story-based channels. I'll create videos talking about later down the road. This isn't specific if you're trying to rank videos in search. This is specific for browse-based, kind of like news-based channels. All right. That's basically the general criteria as far as me validating a good niche for browse-based YouTube channels. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions. And if you're interested in our free training, do check it out in the link down below as well. I've been doing YouTube automation for about 4 years now. I currently live full-time from YouTube automation. But if you made it this far, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Do subscribe to the channel for part 2, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.